Look, well, let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
All right, we're back with another episode of the 710 Squared podcast. What is happening?
You know, in all the previous broadcasts, I've been optimistic. I've been, really excited about this marketplace. But there's been something nagging me the whole time with this whole CBD craze.
What's that?
And we can get it in. Why is it so promoted in the mainstream? Why is there so much acceptance of something that was previously demonized? I couldn't figure out why. And there's been some recent developments, some nefarious and duplicitous developments, and those are big polysyllabic SAT words that basically translate to some bullshit, or as a great Roach Brown calls it, some joogie boogie. So we can get into it, but I'm not going to be my normal, cheerful, optimistic self, because it's some stuff happening, and it's just a flashback. There's some forces trying to take us back to the old paradigm during the emergence of this new paradigm. But I don't want to ruin the show with my dark cloud. I had to be honest.
Well, I can't wait to hear what this is. But before we do that, why don't you go ahead and plug our sponsor?
Yes, folks, today's broadcast is brought to you by the good folks at New Maroon Naturals. New Maroon Naturals bringing you the finest in Caribbean-based healthcare products, from root drinks calibrated for men. You can get your nature back if you've been suffering in that department. Root drinks calibrated for women, helping women with their reproductive systems. And the first root drink made for children to help balance out blood sugar levels and to establish health in children. Also, the premier company selling ready-made sea moss in its gelatinous state. That's newmaroonnaturals.com. The good folks at New Maroon Naturals are sponsoring the show, and we want to say thank you to them. And please check out their website, and they have something there for everyone.
Now, how do you spell New Maroon?
NewMaroonNaturals.com. NewMaroonNaturals.com.
Awesome. Shout out to New Maroon.
And if you think your product, could benefit from being profiled on 710 Squared Show, please get in contact with us. We'd love to have you as a sponsor as well.
Yes, indeed. We're making a lot of strides in building up 710. So anybody listening and thinking about that, please contact us. You can do so on Instagram. You can do so on Facebook just by messaging us, or you can go to the website. But either way. So what are you going to say?
And that's the mandate of the show, the entrepreneurial spirit, teaching people how to market their products, encouraging people to become entrepreneurs, and take that kernel of a thought in the back of their mind and bringing it out to the public. Everyone has something in them that could benefit others, and that's really what we want to encourage on this show. That's what we're all about.
Yes, 710 Squared podcast discusses the business of cannabis. So let's get into it. What happened in the corporate world that's got Ro all riled up?
More the same. We've discussed on this show the legality of the cannabis market space, the history of that legality, the challenges people have faced, the incarceration rates, just the struggle of this grassroots, pardon the pun, movement of people wanting to express their culture, their heritage, and just their choice of what they want to do with their bodies and how they want to use this natural substance. And so along comes this CBD craze, and it seems all good. It seems like finally there's been a breakthrough. The laws have been changing. There's been decriminalization. There's been legalization in various places. And it seemed as if there had been the breakthrough that we've been hearing about for decades. It seemed as if there would be some justice within the criminal justice system regarding marijuana possession and usage. So flash forward to there's a gentleman by the name of Tika Tawari, and he's one of these really experienced New York Stock Exchange guys. He helps people investments. He's written newsletters helping people invest. He's one of these people who really, when he hears about a industry, he really starts to travel and check it out for himself and understand it and get a great understanding of the industry and all the sundry aspects of it. And so I'm listening to an interview with this gentleman, and just in passing, he happens to mention that in Canada, the law is a little bit different. In order to be a legal cannabis grower and CBD producer, you have to, of course, pay some fees to the government and some taxes as well. But the challenge up there is that if a police officer pulls you over or gets in contact with someone and they have cannabis on them, how do they know that was grown by a legal producer, or if that's a street drug? Mm-hmm. And so apparently that's an issue up there, and it's just chasing the taxes. It's just trying to exploit a dollar out of everyone. So he discusses this new technology that's being developed, in which they can spray cannabis with this substance that has a DNA genetic marker in it.
Oh, no.
And then they have this scanner device. So when they take your weed, just like the old cocaine test where they put the chemicals and if the turn blue, it was positive for cocaine. We saw that in cops 1,000 times. And I just think I'll mention that test was proven to be false. There's a lot of false positives and people doing a lot of time when they never even had cocaine on them. But so they're developing a scanner so that they can just take your cannabis and scan it, and if it comes up with this DNA marker, they know that you got it from a licensed provider that paid their taxes and fees to the government. And if it doesn't, they know that you didn't. Mm-hmm. And it was left at that point. That was all it was stated. And an interviewer said, "Wow, that's interesting," because this interview and this conversation was about investing in these companies that are bringing forth new technology and new methodologies to produce these substances and how you can invest and make money. Mm-hmm. So immediately my mind starts working, and I say, well, that's very interesting because they're decriminalizing marijuana in a lot of places and they're legalizing in a lot of places. And so the criminal justice system is going to take a hit because there's going to be fewer bodies coming into the system. And so if you can scan people's marijuana to see if it has the DNA marker on it, you can start locking up people again because they don't have the approved marijuana anymore. Mm-hmm. They have the outlaw marijuana. So you can lock people up for failure to pay taxes on their marijuana.
Oh, wow.
You see, that's where my mind went.
That's crazy.
And I see that the criminal justice system, the corporate prisons, are taking a hit because fewer people are getting locked up for nonviolent offenses for possessing small amounts of marijuana. But if you can have this DNA marker that they're spraying on the cannabis, and your scanner can detect whether a person bought the government-approved weed or not, then you can start locking people up for not buying the tax, not buying you know what I'm saying?
The government mandated
exactly
marijuana, yeah.
And now I'm not even going to talk about what is this shit you're spraying on the cannabis that has a DNA marker, and where did that DNA come from?
And
most likely a pig.
What effect is that going to have on people consuming that?
Exactly.
Especially those who are not even aware of what
that's what's going on.
Yeah, what you just said.
And if you didn't know where to look, and if I didn't stumble upon this interview, which was really, I think it happened 2 weeks ago, you would never know this is what's going on with the product you're purchasing. And so once again, the cultural expression of cannabis and CBD is people wanting to get to something natural to heal their bodies naturally and it's being tampered with something that you can spray on it that leaves a DNA residue on it so that can be detected with some type of scanning device instantaneously during a traffic stop. We're not talking about lab work that takes a week or two to come back.
Wow. So this can be done during a traffic stop.
Traffic. This is law enforcement traffic stop stuff as fast as a breathalyzer is.
Wow.
You see, then now you see my point. Maybe
basically, if somebody is pulled over and they have a joint or a blunt or something in their mouth, the cop can take it from them and with some kind of device scan it and instantly tell
if that's the government approved weed or not. Shades of a brave new world. And so now you're decriminalizing and legalizing marijuana so people can have an ounce or gram or two, whatever it is. But now you can come back and retcon all that and say, but only with the government stuff.
So
and
where is this currently in effect?
It's a technology being developed for potential use in Canada with the current laws they have.
Oh, wow.
But it's coming to a theater near you.
Wow.
Once it starts to work.
Wow.
And so we're right back where we started from in this thing. And I was, well, I wondered why there was so much acceptance by the media and governments and everything. And I think we're starting to see what they're trying to do. They're trying to control through technology, the cannabis and the markets associated with it. How long till this is done to CBD? If it isn't already, I mean, maybe they can do this with CBD oil too. Did you get this from a provider that paid the fees and taxes, or is there some outlaw outfit that you bought it for, and now we'll get you under RICO statute and lock everybody up that purchased it, or produced it.
Wow.
Now this is my conjecture. This is my theorization, but I'm probably right.
No, you bring up some very, very, very interesting points, but also at the same time very disturbing and very disheartening, because my mind went to what has been done with the food supply in the United States, where you have so many chemicals and unnecessary ingredients. Because a friend of mine had a side-by-side of a can of Coke from the UK and a can of Coke from the US. And the UK Coke had half the ingredients that the Coke in the US had. And the UK Coke did not have high fructose corn syrup, among many other things.
Exactly.
So that explains, so that means that I even saw the same thing with oatmeal. I saw a box of oatmeal from the States. It had all these chemicals that were very difficult to pronounce, probably like a paragraph and a half. And the UK version of the same oatmeal didn't have any of those things.
Because their laws are different, and you can be imprisoned for putting anything in their food other than food. And it's like Dick Gregory used to say when he was alive, you can buy baby oil in the United States and slather your child in it. But in England, you will be locked up for producing baby oil, putting on a child. That's child endangerment, because it is a toxic petrochemical. And anything that sits on your skin, which is the largest organ of the body, for 2 or 3 minutes, is instantaneously absorbed. We see these court cases, which is this lady won a large settlement against baby powder because of the talc in it.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Which is acidic and creates cancer in your nethers, because you're probably putting it on your thighs so they can slide real nice. And so you've got carcinogenic nethers from something that you've been told is the right healthy thing to do.
That is hilarious.
How many women use baby powder on their lovely parts to prevent sweat and stuff like that? It's just, I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago they started selling Coca-Cola with real sugar. What was it before?
Yeah.
You know, real sugar. What you been giving me?
Well, that's like
You know, so
Subway just casually announced. This is, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago. Just made a casual announcement. You know, Subway has the in terms of branding has this. Um, Everybody has this belief that you're eating healthy, and Subway's brand is all about health and freshness, and yet they were spraying the bread with the same
it,
chemical used
bromelain,
to make
bromelain.
yoga mats.
Yeah, and tennis shoes is bromelain, and because to really work bread and knead bread, you have to be an apprentice and study under a master baker to really be able to work dough into bread. And with the turnover rate in the Subway, and these young, it's like an entry level job. No one's going to learn how to really work and knead bread, so they're sending these processed, chemicalized, ready-made loaves of bread that they just need to throw in that oven so that they can say they're making fresh bread. And whenever I walk by a Subway, sandwich shop, it smells like someone's burning plastic to me.
Because I haven't eaten there since that whole revelation. Because what was amazing to me was how they just casually came out and said, "Dear Subway patrons, we would like to apologize for using a chemical that is used to make yoga mats. We used it to to bake. We've been using it, baking it in the bread, and we've decided it's not really that safe, and we're gonna stop, and we apologize." And of course, people were upset, and people were cursing them out on Facebook and on social media, and they were like, "Well, I thought this place was fresh, and I thought I was eating something healthy," and they just casually just brushed it off. And
But that's
people like me said, "Okay, now I'm done. It's like I'm not eating there again." I said, because I don't know what else you guys have that you guys will decide down the line. Well, hey, we don't. We've come to the conclusion this isn't that healthy. How many years has Subway been around? So you think all those times you were consuming it, thinking that
yeah.
you were consuming something healthy, and they were spraying it with yoga mat chemical.
But I got a question for everyone listening to this broadcast. When's the last time you've seen a piece of bread mold? I'll wait. There's a problem. When I was a child, you buy a loaf of bread at the grocery store, it was hard as a brick and stale within 7-8 days, and it would start to mold at 9. Green, furry mold. That doesn't happen anymore. I mean, it was a life form. You was a science experiment. You made life if you left bread out. Bread don't mold no more because they've changed the content of it to mostly sugar and chemicals, and so even mold has better sense than to land. A mold spore ain't gonna land on it and consume it and reproduce. So mold won't, but we will. But this whole thing reminds me of when people figured out that BPA, bisphenol A, was used in plastic bottles and that it caused endocrine disruption in people.
Mm-hmm.
So then everyone raised hell about the bisphenol A, BPA in water bottles. And then all of a sudden all these companies like, no, BPA free. And no one told you that they just replaced BPA with BPB, which was the next in a series of bisphenol chemicals. And not only did BPB cause endocrine disruption, but it also caused brain swelling.
Wow.
And so not only is there a BPB, but there's a BPC, a BPTMC, a BPZ, and on with this series of bisphenol family of chemicals that they make plastic bottles out of. And so it's just the same thing over and over again where you're being secretly poisoned and you're not even aware of it.
Yeah,
and to take that back to
and yet you can make plastic out of hemp. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can make. There's a well-known hemp influencer here in the DMV. Her name is Hempress Hill. I saw her on I think it was NBC or one of these local channels, and she had all these products, including her skateboard, where the wheels from the skateboard were made from hemp. And it looked like plastic. And felt like plastic. So if you can, there's over 100 products that you can make with hemp.
So with hemp
that are commonly used in everyday things, and then plus with hemp, it's biodegradable because all this other plastic products that we have, especially since you brought up bottled water, it
choke whales.
Yeah, it chokes. Well, not even the choking of the whales. It doesn't decompose when it goes to the landfill. So I mean, the whales and the turtles is another. That's a whole nother story. A whole nother problem.
But now that we're talking about it, with a bag full of real seeds, not any GMO seeds, a bag full of heirloom seeds, some hemp, and a 3D printer, you don't need the federal government or anyone else for anything anymore. You're self-sufficient.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Isn't that scary to the powers that be?
Well, yeah, that's why they've demonized this amazing plant for so long. The devil's lettuce.
And are tinkering with it because they're dusting it, and I'm sure they're GMOing it at some point. I
think that's already happening. Sad to say, because you're seeing hybrid. Snoop Dogg had I think Be Real came on his show recently. He has that GGN show, and he brought this new strain of weed, and he had it rolled up already in a blunt, and Snoop smoked it, and he said it was like smoking a fruit. Now,
well,
the point I'm trying to make is you have sativa, indica. Those are the two naturally occurring types of marijuana. Then you have hybrids where people are making up stuff. You have weed that tastes like chocolate.
Yeah, and cotton candy.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, I was thinking about that the other day, and I was saying to myself, that is actually an amazing feat of science when you think about it.
They got grapes.
Huh?
You know they got grapes in the grocery store that taste like cotton candy.
Well, that's a new one to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is if they're doing that, so just imagine all the other stuff they're doing.
Yeah, and I misspoke when I said they're GMOing it. I know they're GMOing marijuana, but I was so excited. I was trying to get at that they're GMOing the CBD oil.
Oh yeah.
Well then, God damn it! What? Then they're just. I mean, the whole rap on this thing is it's natural, and it's a natural solution to these health issues. Anxiety and inflammation, and on and on and on and on. But if they're going to GMO it, and not tell you, we're right back where we started from.
Well, here's the thing: people are familiar now with CBD and THC. But have you heard of CBC? CBCA, A9-THCA, A9-THC, A8-THC, THCV, CBG, CBDA, CBGA, and each one of these things does something different.
Yeah.
So something tells me, could be wrong, and anybody who wants to dispute this can call in or write a comment on YouTube. I think these are all things that have been, manipulated genetically. I don't think you had all these byproducts or these other versions of, CBD, like CBDA and CBG and, that, again, target, like CBCA, reduces inflammation and treats fungal infection. But yet CBD, antibacterial, inhibits cancer growth, neuroprotective, promotes hormone growth, reduces artery blockage. I mean, long list of benefits. But yet these other ones that I'm mentioning, it's like 2 things, 3 items, 4 items tops. So that means they've been tailored.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's just like when they started to convert engines to burn E85. They had already formulated the corn they were going to grow to be able to do that. So once they got that done, then they say, well, hey, we're going to start making gasoline made out of partial corn. It's just like when they started with the soy. They had already formulated the soy to grow the way they wanted, so then they could introduce into the market. Mm-hmm. And it's the same. And so I'm seeing they did the same thing with cannabis and CBD. They were already positioned to make a fortune off of it, and now they want you to have it. And so in my mind, we're right back where we started from, because there's tremendous opportunities for people to expose these facts and then provide legitimate organic cannabis and CBD that hasn't been tainted with. Mm-hmm. And so we're right back where we started from, trying to have something all natural that can heal the body and be of use to the body. So we're still at war with the powers that be that are trying to sneak chemicals and genetically modified organisms into our bodies without us knowing about it. The way I see it, anyway.
Yeah, because Leafly, they had an expose where they said tests of CBD oils revealed 3 surprise chemicals. One big problem. The market for CBD products in the U.S. is booming. Unfortunately, lab tests suggest that harmful chemicals could be creeping in, creating the potential for real public health risks. Now, this thing is being marketed as the miracle, I don't want to call it miracle drug, but the miracle plant. That in its natural form, it is. But if you have people tampering with it, and then now you have to question, okay, this guy that's selling this CBD soda, well, the marijuana that he got the CBD from, what strain it? Where'd he get it from, and what's in it?
Exactly.
And then that complicates things. Just like I had mentioned to you about. A lot of African countries, it's still, with the exception of South Africa, is the only African country where it's tricky because they've decriminalized personal use, but you can't grow it, you can't, you can't be caught. There's no medical use, but yet Zimbabwe, they're growing it for export, but it's totally illegal in any other way. No medical, no recreational. And I think Uganda was the latest country, again, that basically is going to be allowed to grow it. But yet they got bags of already planted marijuana with soil from somewhere else, and they were told, you guys have to grow this. And what do you think? They have their own strains of marijuana there, and they're not allowed to grow that.
And that's particularly dangerous when you start bringing soil from another country into a country, because it can bring insects and bacteria and all
diseases,
sorts of it could bring an insect that there's no natural predator for, and this thing can wipe out the entire ecosystem on that level. So, that's dangerous on the face of it. And it only speaks to greed that anyone would even suggest such a thing.
Yeah. And let me clarify about South Africa. South Africa and Georgia, which is in Russia, have led to the legalization of cannabis consumption, but not legal sales. Now, that's weird. So, if I'm allowed to consume it, where am I getting it from? If I can't...
Exactly. Well, they haven't gotten around to setting up their approved distributor to sell us here. They just want you to know what's coming.
And their DNA
the DNA marker, so they can make sure when they do a stop and frisk on you that you got theirs and not the guy down the streets.
Yet the only two countries that have fully legalized the consumption and sale of recreational cannabis nationwide are Uruguay and Canada.
And Canada's the one developing this DNA tag.
Yeah. So it really does make you. It really does give cause for concern, and it really does make you wonder. This is again the illusion of control, where people think, "Oh, finally, all those Humboldt growers and all the people like, oh, finally getting to do what we want to do," and it's like, no, the powers that be have a little plan for you, and
but
they're putting it into effect.
You know what's scary though? We're heading into another recession. None of these countries really produce anything to bring in money. So they're becoming national drug dealers.
Pretty much.
So it was wrong when I did it 20 years ago. Not me, I'm just speaking hypothetically. It was wrong for me to have done it 20 years ago, but now now it's what you need to do to produce revenue and income, and to keep putting people in jail, because that's revenue and income.
Well, look at Spain and Netherlands, because Netherlands, everybody knows about Amsterdam. It was even in The Wire. They had a street in Baltimore that they call Hamsterdam with an H, because it was modeling where you could legally sell your drugs. Mm-hmm. But Netherlands and Spain, it's still illegal, but the sales of cannabis are tolerated only at licensed establishments. So basically, as long as you buy it and smoke it at the licensed establishment, you're fine. But you can't just walk down the street with it like in Canada or in Uruguay.
And on a previous broadcast, one of us stated that the black market was never going to be going away for this sort of thing.
Not the way things are looking, no.
No, this just proves it. The black market is alive and well. It's just absolutely amazing that this is the direction they've taken. I mean, they've spent decades with the war on drugs, destroying people's lives, and now they are becoming square corporate drug dealers. And I don't mean anything pharmaceutical. They're pushing weed.
Yeah.
That they can control. And it's gangster as hell, because they're going to be able to scan your shit to make sure it's theirs. Yeah, and the most filthy, rotten ass thug ass drug dealer ain't never checked your pocket to make sure your shit was his and not someone else's.
Yeah. But I think when people become more educated and people become more aware of what's actually going on, maybe that will spark some change, because people will become aware of what's happening. Because that's the way they pull the wool over people's eyes, because people don't know most of the time what's actually happening.
And the way information is disseminated so fast on a grassroots level these days, anyhow, a lot of the powers that be, their playbook ain't working. They try to start a war with Iran 2 weeks ago, saying that the Iranians fired a torpedo at these two oil tankers. Then said, well, no, they used mines, but the damage to the tankers was above the water line, and there's no mine or torpedo that jumps up out of the water to put a hole in the side of a ship above the water line. And when you looked at the damage to the ship, you could tell that it was a puncture and it wasn't an explosion. If you just pull up a Google image of the USS Cole from 2000, the damage that was done to that ship, and compare it to the damage done to these two, they don't even look the same. Mm-hmm. So it was another Gulf of Tonkin setup that didn't work, because, as goofy as people are now, they were hip enough to not go for that horse shit. And the coup in Venezuela, people didn't go for that. And, so their playbook is falling apart. their old plays aren't really working. So hopefully people can get ahead of them and counter them with insisting upon organic CBD and cannabis that you can verify came from an organic grower, kind of like what you can do with your produce now, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's still very disheartening that that's, you know, where that's what's going on in the background. They're tinkering with marijuana the same way they've been tinkering with the food supply.
But you know what though, I don't think I could take it if they did right. They got to be doing wrong for me to be at peace. Because if they straightened up and started doing things right, I'd probably jump off a rooftop somewhere. I don't know how to live in a country in which the federal government and the corporations are doing the right thing. So I'm pissed off, but I'm almost relieved. Like, oh, okay, I know how to deal with this. Because if they started doing right, I'd be like, I don't even know how to. They've been so crooked for so long. I don't even know how to take them be doing it right. But now that I kind of realize, oh, they're still fucked up. I'm like, okay.
That's crazy. But it's just like I said, it's just disheartening that, you know, this is where things are going.
It is, and it's to the point that it's in warfare. There's always point counterpoint, right? So the British line up in a row and fire their flintlocks, and then the colonials, they start using guerrilla warfare, and then that goes on, and then, you know, someone makes the machine gun, so then you make the trench to hide from the machine gun, and then they make the tank, and then they make the anti-tank rocket, and then they make the reactive armor, and then they make the dual warhead anti-tank rocket. And it's just this point counterpoint on and on and on. And we're really at this point to place now, and we have since the 70s, although it's more popular now. You really have to stay researching what's going on so you can be aware of the latest threat and danger posed to your health.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, so by the time you realize that Subway is putting the same rubber in yoga mats and tennis shoes in your bread, you've only been eating it for 5 years, and now you can stop.
5 years that they told us, yeah.
Yeah, you've been eating this shit for 5 years, and now they tell you, well, we're gonna stop. You know, okay, well, great. And at least I know now. Hey, but the next time you walk past a Subway, tell me if that place don't smell like they're burning rubber. It just smells like a plastic factory. And McDonald's, I don't know. I haven't been to a McDonald's lately. But McDonald's, you can smell like so they were deep frying plastic.
Well, I'm glad I got off the fast food bandwagon about 6 years ago. So
yeah,
they could be burning Smurfs as far as I'm concerned. I'm not eating there. So.
Hey, look, while you're bullshitting, they might be, because there's a guy that cut a chicken McNugget in half and zoomed in on it with a microscope, and there are little blue filaments in the meat of the chicken McNugget. So that might be Smurf DNA in there.
On another note,
yeah,
Facebook will now allow some CBD ads to be placed on,
provided the scanner picks up the DNA tag, right?
Oh, that's hilarious. No, it's basically advertisers that are allowed to run ads for topical hemp-based CBD products across Facebook.
Okay.
But that's it.
It's a start.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that, yeah.
Well, after the past 40 minutes of the depressing conversation, I'm trying to be optimistic again, you know.
Facebook, however, is still prohibiting ads for ingestible CBD, including ads that direct people to landing pages with those types of products. So basically, if it's some CBD cream, you're good to go. But if you're selling something that you're ingesting orally, I don't think I know anybody that snorts weed.
Not yet.
That still is a restricted substance or restricted. Restricted substance. So you will not be allowed to advertise that on Facebook.
And meanwhile, they're giving all your metadata to the NSA and CIA. So.
Yeah, that's.
But they're concerned with your well-being.
Yeah. They said initially when the policy was enacted to ban all CBD-based products, there was a lawsuit basically alleging that Facebook has deceptive ad practices. But Facebook being as big and as powerful and as rich as it is, I'm sure they were able to clarify what they actually meant. And, here we go. That's one step. I don't know if you call it a step in the right direction, but...
Well, yeah, you take your victories in bite-sized bits, Sooner or later you get there. But, today's conversation, I think, is sobering because there's a lot there's been a lot of progress, but not as much as we may have initially thought.
Mm-hmm. Because primarily CBD is not allowed to be advertised on, of course, we talked about Facebook, Google, Amazon. They still block CBD advertisements, which for a lot of up-and-coming cannabis businesses or cannapreneurs, this is overwhelming, frustrating, because they don't know how to basically boost their sales.
And I feel like it's being done on purpose to give these bigger corporations a chance to really dominate the marketplace.
Absolutely. But when you think even the fee in Canada to apply, this is not a guarantee, this is just to apply to get a dispensary license, is $100,000. Now, if you're a corporation, that's nothing.
That's crumbs.
You keep spending that. Oh, the fee, application fee. But if you're Joe Schmo trying to get into this, and they're like, yeah, you got to apply, Joe, but the application fee is $100,000, and that's not a guarantee you're gonna get anything.
Yeah.
So you're definitely right. There's a deliberate effort to give the corporations a leg up,
and to set the paradigm
at this early stage. Yeah,
and to establish a paradigm of how you, the consumer, utilize this product and even think about it. But I mean, for anyone who's in the marketplace or wants to get into it, I think the future, years ago, we had mom and pop shops. We had little hardware stores that catered to the community. And we got away from that with the big box stores that had, one big box store put out 5 businesses. They put out the guy that sold shoes. They put out the hardware store guy. They put out the damn bakery. They put out the guy that's giving haircuts. All that's in the big box store, right? But I see us going back to community-based businesses, but that aren't just limited to the community, but that's their primary focus. Mm-hmm. So, you can take a page from the nightclubs and party promoters and put together a street team and have them hit the block and let everybody know that you've got, good CBD that's organic and you're not spraying it with the DNA marker and all that stuff, and it's a good product, and because this is a grassroots cultural expression, and I think if the real folks, the real ones, hold on to that and keep pushing it that way within the confines of the law, I think there's a presence to be had and some money to be made that way that the corporations can't really get to.
Mm-hmm. Another big industry in the marijuana market is CBD for pets. Basically, you have some out of control pet that's has some serious separation anxiety when you leave. You can give them a CBD treat
Instead of a newspaper rolled up.
and calm his ass down while you're gone.
I calm his ass down, all right? It was the front page, motherfucker. Read all about it.
And but this is this is quite serious. I mean, they're seriously coming out with a whole new category of pet food and pet products, using cannabis.
Treats. Yeah. Probably the ultimate goal is down the road a little bit is a new next generation of pharmaceutical drugs based on derivatives of CBD and aspects of cannabis and CBD oil in a way that they can own and manipulate, much as they've done with the previous generation of pharmaceutical drugs. Perhaps that's what this is all about. Maybe they'll let go of the CBD oil and the cannabis stuff when they can control and own their own pharmaceuticals. Like Cannapeneur. If you're experiencing shortness of breath, use Cannapeneur. Then that'll be their.
I think that's coming. I mean, I think there's going to come a point where you're going to see ads for CBD products by the big pharmaceuticals, like what you see for like Humira and all these other crazy, terrible drugs that you see on TV all the time. I think they've managed. That's just a matter of time. It's coming.
Yeah, maybe when they do that, they'll let this go, and they'll focus on that.
But we can hope.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about New York banning the testing of employees or potential employees for marijuana now? So basically, because people are taking CBD and all these other, in many different forms, they can no longer test you for marijuana when applying for a job.
Well, that's good as long as it ain't the bus driver. You know what I'm saying? We need to keep him straight. But yeah, I was wondering how that was going to present itself because, in a day and age of
major problem. So I'm glad that they're doing something to address that.
Well, they probably couldn't hire anybody in this day and age, so they had. I don't think they did that for any egalitarian reason. I think they did that because they couldn't hire anybody because everybody was popping dirty in some capacity. So they said, "We're just not even gonna do this shit no more."
Yeah, I concur. I don't think this was any egalitarian or benevolent reason. This was purely
and no righteousness in it. They just said, "Man, we can't hire."
Saying, "Hey, we don't hire people with tattoos." Well, then. Today,
yeah, you better build a robot.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably like 80% of your workforce.
Yeah.
That.
Hey, you know what's funny? I saw an ad for some high heel shoes in his catalog, and it was 3 women. They just showed them from the calf down, right? And it was 3 women wearing 3 pair of high heel shoes, and the third one had a tattoo on her foot. And I just said, "Wow, really."
Huh.
Very interesting. You can't even get a foot model that don't have tattoos on their feet. And I found myself staring at the tattoo, trying to figure out what it was, and I completely ignored the shoes. I don't know if that was a smart move.
That is hilarious. But yeah, it just goes to show the landscape has completely changed, and if they don't, I remember when I was in college. When we used to have these corporate speakers come to the school and, you're in business class and they come and they talk about their hiring practices and they used to say, yeah, we don't hire people with tattoos.
Yeah.
And I remember back then they used to call it a tramp stamp, and
Yeah.
girls would get it, in obscure places. So basically, like they'd have to be completely naked for you to see the tattoo, or they would get it
Yeah.
under their ankle or somewhere where it was covered.
Yeah.
And then now, it's you getting people tattooing their faces.
Well, yeah, I see tattoos on people in professional settings more and more. You know. So there's no telling where this thing is going. It's just going somewhere, which I guess is the good news because as long as it's moving in a direction, you can kind of shape it to kind of go where you need it to go to benefit you.
Mm.
But the old rules definitely do not apply anymore, which
No.
is as startling as that is. It could be a great opportunity for some people poised to take advantage of it.
Yeah. 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 But again, it's just proof that time has moved on, and because the new generation that's out now indulge in tattoos and edibles and blunts and giving marijuana to their pets, and so you say, oh, we can't hire you, or you can't participate. You're cutting out a huge swath of the workforce and potential customers. So it's change is happening whether you like it or not.
And the struggle is still there. I guess we kind of got lulled to a false sense of victory. With the latest changes over the past 2 or 3 years. But I think that struggle has redefined itself and is coming from a different angle of attack. And so you still got to be ready to challenge that. So we're still going to be singing "Legalize It." Just referring to this scanner that finds this DNA marker that probably comes from pig sweat or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, we're going to wrap this up here again. So why don't you go ahead and shout out our sponsor one more time?
Yeah, folks. Once again, please check out our great sponsor, the good folks at newmaroonnaturals.com. They have traditional Caribbean root drinks, as well as the ready-made sea moss in the gelatinous form. And they also have various blends of sea moss, everything to help with herbal detoxification, brain health, thyroid support, immune system support, as well as an original plain version of sea moss that can be added to your recipes, salads, or even your beef gravy, whatever you would like to do with it. It's really nutritious, and it represents 91 of the 102 minerals the human body is composed of. So it's a fantastic way to add full spectrum micronutrition to your diet. Once again, that's the good folks at newmaroonnaturals.com. NEWMAROON naturals.com.
Good stuff. We shout out to New Maroons Naturals. You've been listening to the 710 Squared podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at @710 Squared. 710 Squared is a Maryland cannabis brand strategy agency pulling cannabis into the square world. So, do you have any other things you want to shout out or mention before we wrap up this week's episode?
We're in a wild frontier right now. I kind of think we all got lulled to a false sense of security. We thought we had arrived. I think we kind of bought the headlines, and now with some of the information we discussed today, we kind of realized that there's still some challenges out there, and we're still in this battle to reclaim our health in the way we want to establish our health. And so, we're going to do our best to bring you the latest news, but if you hear something we haven't covered, please shoot us a line and get in contact with us and let us know, because we would love to help spread that information to everybody, because we're all in this together.
And when you see a product or something that you're interested in, check the source. Ask questions. Where did y'all get this? where are you all sourcing the marijuana from? CBD soda. How much sugar is in this CBD? I'm sorry. How much sugar is in this cannabis soda? Is it CBD? Is it THC? Is it CBDN? Or all these other strains. Ask. I think people need to get to the point where they're asking more questions about what's in it and where is it coming from, because of where things are going. And I think if we do that, that might make this road a little less bumpier.
Yeah, it's definitely time to reclaim our birthright and our responsibilities for ourselves. You really can't trust the powers that be to do the right thing. So we're going to have to help each other stay aware of exactly what's going on out there.
Yeah. And on that note, we're going to sign off. Until next time, talk to y'all later.
It's a wrap.
All right.